My first crush was when I was 10 years old. She was the tallest girl in school, but you couldn't call her a girl to her face, or she would punch you in yours. But hey, she'd already given you warning. Everybody in our grade thought she was cool. I was a dweeby girl she hung out with. What's her name again? But she liked me. That was all that mattered. She had short blonde ringlets and deep brown eyes, and was the first in our school to get her lip pierced. One time when we were playing with some of our friends in the park, by her house, she had a fight with one of the other kids and went home, just across the road. From the park I could see her opening the blinds, with tears rolling down her cheeks. I rushed over immediately to see my tough tomboy friend crying, fueled by jealousy. You were supposed to leave with me. Sometimes I worried about being too feminine around her. I was a tomboy too, but I still loved ballet and Barbie dolls and lame 90s boy bands. But one Christmas, I opened my present from her, and it was an Australian ballet video. It was Swan Lake and the Nutcracker. I must have watched it 100 times. She made me feel accepted as the boyish wannabe ballerina I was. In the year I turned 12, I moved across the country to a little rural town in Western Australia called Mount Barker. I started a new school. I asked people to call me by a new name. I wanted to start afresh. On my first day of school, I was sat next to a bright blue-eyed boy with curls reaching in every direction and a voice softer than my grandmother's. We instantly bonded over our mutual love of horses. I would scribble his initials under mine, with a 4 or a heart in between, in any blank space I could find. You love Matthew, other kids would say. No, it's for Marshall Mathers. Thank you, Eminem, for sharing my crush's initials. After 10 months of sitting next to him in class, tracing over his doll-like features with my eyes, and talking about horses just to listen to him speak, my friend asked him to be my boyfriend, and he agreed. A few weeks later was my farewell party. When his parents came to pick him up, he came over to me, kissed me on the cheek, and whispered in my ear, "I'm sorry, but you dumped," and left. I burst into tears. Frankie Peter, that's such a cool name, I said to her. Her shirt should have been on a person 10 times her size. She was stick thin, but her baggy shirt hid her body in a big shiny sheath. She was tiny, but tall and rough. I'm a model, you know, she told me. I won awards back in South Australia. I never doubted anything she said, not even for a second. She was always getting into fights because she walked around as if she owned everything, even though her family could barely make ends meet. I remember walking down the main street of Boulder with her. We had reached the age, 13 that is, when old men decide it's okay to start wolf whistling and calling things out at you through the pub window. "We're 13, you fucking pedo," she yelled back at him. I laughed so hard, looping my arm through hers and falling into her side. She was the first girl I ever kissed. 4 of us were playing truth or dare in her living room. The first time I met him, he and his mates came up to me while I was walking my dog, and they made jokes at me, asking me who of them I would date. I said none. Now he had muddled his way through his first conversation with me though. He started talking to me whenever he saw me. He would come out of the petrol station, where he worked, every time I walked past, and strike up conversation with me, and sometimes sneak me a Mars bar from the shuttles. We became really close friends. We met almost every day, and then at 9 at night, we would call each other, because that's the hour calls became free. We would talk until 10 or 11, then we'd both sneak out of our house and meet at the Oval, hiding from the passing cop cars on the way, because we were out after curfew. If we lay in the centre of the Oval, it was dark enough that no one could see us. It was only us two and the stars above us. Every other trouble in the world did not exist in that spot, or with him. Sometimes we would talk for an hour or two more, and sometimes we would just lay in silence. She stumbled up the stairs at a friend's house party, looked into my eyes and said, "He won't fuck me. Why won't he fuck me?" "I have no idea," I replied. "He's an idiot." Then we danced together for the rest of the night. We went to high school together, but I don't remember crossing paths with her at school. We both must have stood out like sore thumbs though, me with my 14-hole locks, and hair that changed colour every week, and her looking like she just fell out of the 80s, with big curly hair and loads of bright makeup on her face. But we kept to ourselves, me with my head in the books, her with her head in the clouds. Who really cares if someone is a woman or a man though? You like whoever you like, she said at a long club one night, looking across the table at me. I should have taken the hint then, or the 20 others following. But I just didn't believe a girl like her could be into someone like me. Not until she jumped me in the back of my friend's car. Surely she was straight. I didn't even look boyish then. I had long black hair and wore dresses all the time. I was still terrible with makeup. She was a makeup artist who worked in the same shopping centre as me, so sometimes before I went out, I would get her to do my makeup for me. She would bring her face so close to mine while she brushed a shadow on my eyelids. I could feel her breath on my face. My whole body would tense. I found him sitting in a gutter outside a club on Oxford Street. He told me the first thing I said to him was, "Can I borrow some of your sanity?" I was way too drunk to remember this though. I was worried I wouldn't even remember what he looked like the second time we met. All I could remember was that he had a big bushy beard. I waited at the train station, looking at all these super buff buffheads, thinking, "Oh God, please don't be him," until I saw him walking up the ramp. His hair was as long and wild as his beard. He pulled a half-crushed rose from his pocket and gave it to me. I thought he was perfect. We were inseparable for 3 days straight, and there wasn't a moment of silence between us. When he left on the 4th day, I felt as if I'd been torn in half. We wrote each other poetry, shared music, and drew portraits of each other's faces. She flew from the other side of the world and landed in Sydney, in a position right above the university queer space, a place where I spend a lot of my free time. But she found me through the internet, somehow, through a sea of a billion other people. When I first met her in person, I was instantly attracted to her, broad shoulders and an even broader smile. I struggled to force words from my mouth, but after a slew of failed relationships, I was wary. The more she taught me about herself, the more I wanted her. A butch, a feminist, an unashamed geek, an athlete with amazing biceps, and a scientist. One late-night message session, I asked what project she was working on. She replied, "It's about a new potential anti-cancer drug our lab has developed and how we think it works in cancer cells." "So, you're curing cancer," I said. "Well, I'm trying," she replied. I was amazed that any one person could be so handsome, awesome, and intelligent. What amazed me more is that she liked me too. I was worried about being too masculine around her, because surely she liked girly girls. But no, she still liked my broken, angry, airy-fairy, hairy-legged, gender-troubled self.